Hi guys, it's Theo from RC Wizard here. I thought I'd talk about my version 3 of my, I'll say interpretation, but what I've done to my Losi DBXL. What never came as a kind of E, this was a gas petrol version, and I converted it into electric. Version 1, I had a Max 5 and I can't remember, it's 8S motor in there. Can't remember which one it is now. Put a link in the description on that one. Sorry, I can't remember. Then version 2 was wanted it a bit faster basically. So went for an Alien ESC and didn't have much success. As you can see here, had a catastrophic failure. Sadly, didn't have it on film. I filmed the kind of first test run, which ran fine. And this one is Alien ESC. Is rated up to 24S. I was running on 14S, tested it on 8S at the time, then ran it up to 14S with two 7S batteries, and was fine that time. Ran it one more time, and out of the blue, not under any kind of load or anything like that, pow, it kind of popped. I just pressed the accelerator a tiny bit, and just ball of flames kind of appeared underneath the body shell. And luckily just puffed itself out. Maybe it kind of starved of oxygen in there basically. But so I was quite upset about that, considering that it wasn't under any load, all the gearing was fine, the motor wasn't running very hot at all. So I was more than upset to say the least, because it was very expensive for these. If you look on the Aliens Power System website, they're not cheap. But obviously, if you want something because this one's got 450 amps, if you want something more than a Max 5, then you have to go something like this. But annoyingly, so it's my opinion, but I wouldn't go for these ever again. They basically don't have an overload protection, or it wouldn't have done what it did basically, because I just pressed the accelerator. It should have kind of tripped out really if there was a problem, but instead of doing that, it burst into flames, which you're not going to get with a Max 5 under kind of normal operation. So after that one went up in flames, I then changed to version 3 with let me get this cable off. That's my fans in the body shell here. Went for version 3, which, as you can see, it's got two 5850 TP power motors and 910 kV obviously each, and then running two Max 5s here basically, with a separate, I think it's a BEC, separate BEC powering the Savox servo here basically. So so they're not kind of all the power from these guys is going straight to the motors. None of it's being drawn on the servo there as well. And two independent 1 amp fans. So they're super fast here basically to keep these guys cool. And I've only done it like a couple of. I got a 20 tooth spur gears. No, spur gears are 50 each. And then I've got 20 tooth pinions there. Let me just kind of take this off so you can get a look. And I'll kind of do a closer look at it as well, so you can kind of see inside. So basically I've got these just little bits of plastic here in case I need to kind of change anything, so it's not kind of screwed in. Actually, no, it's bolted. No, it's not. It should slip out. So it's stuck on here. And it's taped the other side. So the reason why I did a dual motor was obviously to keep things cool, because running a single ESC can get pretty hot when you're kind of, there we go. So anyway, but I'll do close-ups of the kind of gears and things like that inside. So it's got a single shaft. And here, which I've fabricated myself, is a stainless steel hollow tube, these little kind of paddles on the end there, and it's all in a straight line. And then the same one on the front there with a little bit of slack. But unlike the kind of single pins, it's almost like a kind of oar or something like that, but it's got lots of contact on the two, the two ends. And the other reason I did the not kind of power for the front and power for the back. I've seen other people do dual motors where it's two motors running on a single gear, and what I kind of came to the conclusion was if you've got one motor that's not quite in the right timing as the other one, and both of those motors are running together, I can imagine them, if one of them decides not to behave, then I can see it kind of doing some serious damage, because there's a lot of watts going through all of these. So at least if this one has a kind of problem, then independently, if that kind of breaks, then I can kind of tell when I'm driving it that the back's kind of failed because it's just got front wheel drive, so it's not kind of overpowering the other one basically. So yes, you haven't got a differential, but to be honest, this thing doesn't really kind of wheelie or anything like that. It just kind of loses traction because it's got so much power, and it's so low because I'm running the these are Baja back wheels, so they're lower than the standard DBXL. So they're lower, and I've got these wired with trawling line, and I've done a few other videos on my channel if you want to check those out. It's it's got 120 pounds like tensile strength just wrapped around, and you kind of tie a knot in it in a few places and super glue it and tuck it in, and it's got tape underneath it. So this one currently, I've only tested it a few times, but on this gearing I've got it to 66 miles an hour on the grass. I haven't got anywhere around me that can tarmac basically, so I can test it out on there. So hopefully we'll find somewhere kind of long enough that I can give it a good go basically. But I am going to up the pinion, the pinion gears. Other things I've done to this car, as you might be able to tell, is a carbon fibre Kevlar chassis, and loads of other carbon fibre, but the turnbuckles are all carbon fibre, and they save a huge amount of weight. I think a standard one is about 20 grams, and these are about 4 to 3 grams each, and obviously there's kind of 6 of those on there. I put in a big kind of beefy bumper just because I'm quite old school when it comes to bumpers. I quite like a big bumper because this is so heavy. If you hit something even at a kind of slow speed, you're breaking the kind of A-arms and things like that, and other kind of drive shafts tend to bend. So I quite like, even though it adds a little bit of weight, I really like that protection on the front. Running hot racing diff cases underneath. I've got plastic cases on the outside, the standard ones, and then the hot racing diff cases inside for the differential, because if you start getting things really hot, because it's obviously going a lot faster than the standard one, then you can start, the gears can start to misalign or kind of melt little bits of the plastic inside. What else have I got on here? The Baja rear wing, it's a lot stronger than the DBXL-E version. Chassis brace, obviously I've made all these carbon fibre bits myself, basically made all of this. Also obviously the metal, all of these I kind of fabricated myself, the kind of motor mounts and things like that. I am going to kind of make this more lightweight. I need to drill out all kind of the pockets in here. The 2 spur gears have all been kind of drilled out to make it lighter, because obviously the heavier it is, the slower it's gonna go basically. So I've kept this, I think I measured it recently before drilling all the holes out, to about 14 kilos, and I think that comes out about just over 30 pounds. And the original one is, well, DBXL-E without batteries is about 12.5 kilos, so about 27.5 pounds. So there's not a massive, considering it's got twice the amount of kind of power and it's only a little bit heavier, it's pretty quick. So, and I'll show you some running videos, and I'll make more running videos in the future. Trying to think of any other things on here really. I'll make another video about obviously running on 2, I can go, obviously these are 8S capable, the Max 5s, so I can run 2 8S batteries in here basically that I got from Hobby King. But there is a complication in those, that you can't charge them with a standard charger, because you have to buy this kind of, I can't remember what it's called, IQ something or other. Anyway, but yeah, I'll make another video on that and how I got around kind of, yeah, charging those. Also, as you can see, the I didn't go for the standard body shell. I really don't like all the bits of, you've got DBXL, and you just know how much crap with fifth scales, they get so muddy. Here in the UK, it's not always nice weather outside. Sometimes it's a bit damp, and yeah, these things get covered. You know, they get covered in mud, and obviously, if you've got open parts, then the thing gets really, you know, gets really coated in mud and grass and all kinds of things. So when this one's properly sealed up, barely anything gets in there, really nothing at all. And that was another reason I made these carbon fiber wheel arches. They, you know, obviously don't add a lot of weight, but they stop, because this is four-wheel drive. When it turns in like that, this thing just gets covered in, you know, covered in mud, and this really stops it. Barely gets covered in mud at all. Obviously it flicks out the back, but you know, who cares about that? But yeah, and this one, yeah, I can't remember. I'll link in the description for this one. Obviously I had to spray it myself, but this saved a massive amount of weight. I can't remember how much it is. So I think the chassis saved about 400 grams. This one was about 300 grams, because it's a lot lighter, because obviously it's not got the roll cage and things on there. But yeah. Well, I hope you like that, guys, and yeah, I'll definitely be doing some running videos and speed runs and things like that, and yeah, hopefully you check them out. Hi guys, I'll give you a quick kind of walk around the different bits that I've done on here. I'll flip it around the other side. Just start for the, yeah, carbon fiber body shell, wheel arch, and they obviously kind of linked into the side here, so they steer with the wheels without kind of interfering. Steering arms, I don't, again, because of weight, I really don't want to have metal steering here, and I haven't had anything break on me just yet, so it really is about kind of weight saving on this thing. If you start kind of, you know, I understand lots of people like using metal parts, but I put metal parts where you really need them personally. I've added this kind of carbon fiber brace on the top there to help with the kind of, just because there's only one at the bottom and it kind of flexes. So I kind of just, yeah, added that one on there. Carbon fiber brace, I think it's about 4mm thick, and it goes obviously all the way to front to, you know, front to back. So that's why you don't have to have the chassis braces there. And I just kind of added a steel bracket at the back there. It's got a pin going all the way through here, so I can just kind of take it out like you can on the Traxxas and things like that. That pin kind of comes all the way out. Yeah, and this one actually, there's a bolt, if you can kind of see it in between the kind of gears in the middle there. There's a bolt going right the way through the bottom of the chassis, right the way to the top of the kind of the chassis brace there to really tie everything together. And obviously, yeah, the aluminium motor mount. And I'll take this off and take some more kind of videos of it, and you know how it all works in there, so you can kind of see, because obviously not much room in there. But yeah, 50 tooth gears, and they're super wide as well. They're 10mm wide, mod 1.5 hardened steel, so they're not going anywhere basically. Yeah, like I mentioned before in the other video, these are 1 amp. I think they're for like computers or something like that, 1 amp fans, and they're pretty noisy, I guess. But obviously, once you're driving and it's a few meters away, it's not a problem. But yeah, you need to keep things cool. Obviously, two of those, and they all run off. I have a separate kind of battery that I plug in here, and it goes through this the Castle. I think it's the 50 amp BEC. It's the Pro. Yeah, BEC. It's the Pro basically, and then obviously sends out the power to power the receiver. Yeah, and I've got an Armour receiver box here, because there's barely any space, you know, not that it's going to get wet in here, but there's, you know, barely any space for a kind of receiver box anywhere else. Yeah, and there's obviously brace here just to stop all the crap from kind of flying in here, and the same on the back just to stop, just thin kind of plastic, not carbon fiber, just stop all the kind of crap. Yeah, I did have cat packs on here, but for some reason I don't think the I had two, obviously a cat pack for that one and a cat pack for that one. That's why the kind of wires are kind of, I just kind of cut them and taped them up because I couldn't fit cable ties, shrink wrap on them anymore. So that's why that's not so pretty there. But I found the Max 5 don't really like cat packs for some reason. They kind of tend to trip out, you know, like not under kind of massive acceleration and things like that. And I've found that it actually performs better without them. Maybe it just doesn't like them, or there's some kind of spike of some sort that the internals of the ESC doesn't like, and it kind of trips them out. And I've to be honest, I've had one of these in my X-Max running pretty fast with pretty high gears and not had any problems for a good kind of year and a half, and not had any problems. So I don't think these guys, I think maybe the Castle ESCs need them. If you're kind of running 100 plus kind of miles an hour, then you might need them. Yeah, like I mentioned before, like carbon fiber turnbuckles, and the steering arms, and yeah, and if you need to, you clearly can't adjust them, but to be honest, they take me about 5 minutes. You know, I'm at my workshop, I'm a furniture maker by trade, so that's why I've got kind of access to making carbon fiber kind of things. I say, you know, these will start as a roll of carbon fiber, and you just put epoxy and kind of over a kind of MDF mold make these. You know, and then the turnbuckles are just flat carbon fiber. Cut it to 16mm wide, drill some holes, and you're done. And if you need any more kind of toe in or toe out, or the kind of camber of this, I think that's what it's called. But anyway, yeah, if this is toe in and toe out or camber, then you can kind of just make another one basically. Yeah, and also made my own. And if you are interested in kind of, you know, how I've made these, and let me know in the description how I've made these kind of these drive shafts basically. So they I think it's 14mm, so it basically fits the kind of hole inside, so that's why they don't move around that way. And I've got these little kind of paddles on the end, and obviously they've got to have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of slack in there, so they don't kind of jam, you know, kind of jam up basically. But super strong, because I silver salt. I kind of used an angle grinder and cut a slot in the end of the tube basically, and inserted another bit of stainless steel. And if you know anything about soldering, I silver soldered those little paddles on either side, and silver solderers bar welding is the strongest thing you're going to get basically, so those solders are not gonna fail in a hurry. But yeah, I mentioned before, yeah, hot racing diff cases obviously inside there, just to stop if there's any kind of heat, stop things melting. But yeah, that's pretty much it.